Okay, so is there an Eastern style, or is this a thing of the past? Now it's all make in India, the Indian style, the Indian vibe.
I'm trying to be slightly like Eastern style.
Okay. What is Eastern style?
Well, being proud of your kurta pajama maybe.
Okay.
And
But
then
that's Indian style.
Indian style still, but I think we still wear jeans, kurta here as a street style regularly. Then, you know, like we see a lot of youngsters wearing t-shirts, jeans everywhere. But here, I think we still wear our cotton kurtas with denims and chappals and a sling bag.
Okay, by the way, we don't speak in the same language always, all the time, and we always oppose each other. So let me just tell you about, when we were briefed about this session, it was called the Kolkata Aesthetics. And you know what? I think everybody's ears will go red, but to speak the truth, there's a bastardization of the Kolkata aesthetics. You know, what you see mostly is now ghungats with ghagras and cholis, which is not what Kolkata is all about. Kolkata is about beautiful saris, tangails, jamdanis, and you have your baluchoris, which none of this is happening because the government is not supporting. See, Derek is running away. Because we really don't have that support from the government right now to revive the dance. You know, Bengalis, they write so well, and they can actually bluff you off to say that, oh my God, this is like, you know, you're selling the gold, even though this is silver, or they're making ghagra cholis, which comes from the other side of the country, actually. So I don't see too many people are taking it up. Only saris are coming forward, but the actual sensibility of what we call the Kolkata aesthetics are getting lost. You may call it globalization, but I still believe we would like to, you know, cling on to something which is essentially Bengal, which is alarming that is getting lost.
Okay, since you are a textile revivalist, do you think that maybe even if there is no support from the government, as you put it, at least at an individual level, you can work to revive this Kolkata or Bengal aesthetic?
Primarily, my entire 30 years of work, which has been textile-based, has been supported by myself. I have not taken any financial aid or anything from any institution whatsoever. I feel if you have a passion, you have a dream, there are always ways to take it forward. And also, luckily, I don't know, like I stay in Delhi, and since I work with natural fiber, and recently we introduced a new textile, which is a first in the world. I mean, primarily we introduced bamboo silk ikat, which is basically, you know, a product of Northeast. You know, we have a minister who's very receptive to new ideas. And she is somebody who's very, very approachable. So I can, whenever I have met her and have expressed across to her, got across to her the message that this is the issue the weavers are facing, this is a new textile. I mean, she's gone the whole hog. I mean, she's really, really supportive. She's a very supportive lady.
Things are changing.
Yes, things are changing. Because see, you forget it's a woman who's helming the ministry right now. And a woman is always interested in clothes, garments, textiles, handicrafts. I think right now, this is the moment to take things forward. Having somebody like her there.
You think there's hope there?
From our perspective, maybe we do talk to the, let's say, the higher authorities, but on the ground level, maybe things are always not so bright and happy, because if you really go down deep interiors in the weavers' villages, they'll have something else to talk about. Maybe the bigger players have more access and it's easy for them maybe, but there are so many families in India who are actually textile-based or agricultural-based, you know. So, but then the smaller players, they're just getting lost. And so many businesses are shutting. And in fact, I was talking to our own weaver. He's a small guy. He's like, maybe the ones who are part of a bigger organization get a little bit of things, help. But otherwise, they're just struggling with the cost of materials. And hence, and especially after GST now, even worse, that they thinking, a lot of them are thinking of shutting shops.
The worst of the lot is to inspire the next generation. I think things are not happening fast enough. And that's worrisome. Because a lot of the next generation actually leaving this whole learning process from their forefathers to their fathers. And if they leave, then who takes things forward? Because at the end of the day, you end up having very cheap copies of things like a baluchari to Tangail, which are just, cheap copies coming from power looms. The actual true art is getting lost, and that's very, very alarming. And we really, really try to work and try and encourage them, but it's not enough. I think the push and the funding and the bigger picture has to be seen by the government, so they encourage, and especially in the East, you only have an institute like NIFT, but that is not good enough. We need institutes, design-based, somebody like NID or something, who will work with textiles in the East.
So what I'd like to say is three things. One is, I'll go take a step back and say the Kolkata aesthetic definitely exists. To me, I see it very clearly as something that's a lot more minimal in terms of bling, but a lot more classy and elegant than what you see in the rest of the country. It's always rooted in craft, it's always rooted in handcraft, like all of them mentioned that, all of them work with hand-woven textiles and all of that, and the kurta pajamas, etc. But even if you see the new designers, it's all rooted in, at least the labels that really stand out are all rooted in craft. So that's very distinctly different from what you see in the rest of the country. Also, it's very less bling, whether it's jewelry or it's clothes. You see Sabya's clothes, you see Anamika's clothes, you see Kalol's clothes. None of it has bling. You see our jewelry, it doesn't have
that's
bling.
not region specific, is it?
It is very clearly, distinctively Eastern. I mean, there'll be other brands that don't have bling in other parts of the country, but very few labels that, maybe it's the labels that I like, have less bling.
Isn't that a little stereotypical? It's like all the labels in Delhi are all blingy and they're all like
not all,
shadi.
Not true. You'll have bling here in Cal as well, in that sense. Second thing is, I think the problems that they're talking about are very valid and true, even for jewelry. I'm sure Raj will also agree. But I think they're nationwide. They're not just Eastern problems. I can see that jewelry craftsmen are becoming a lot less, whether it's Bombay or Jaipur, Surat or Calcutta. So it's not just the East. Thirdly, I don't think it's only the government's responsibility to make the change. I think it's also responsible consumers making that choice to buy handcraft or handmade over a machine-made piece. Like, it's very easy for someone to walk into a brand store, again, not to, say there's anything wrong with the jewelry there, but quick pieces of jewelry from H&M, as opposed to handcrafted jewelry that takes, the H&M jewelry might have been made in China, it'll cost you maybe $500-600, as opposed to spending, say, 5,000 to 10,000 to buy a piece from us which has been made over weeks, as opposed to spending so much more money buying
Would you expect the government to give that extra push to you, which is make in India, as opposed to something which is cheaper but made in China and is being retailed across the country?
Sure, but then you have to be ethical enough to pass on that benefit to the karigar as well as the consumer.
Sure. Raj, would you think that there is such a push that is needed or is desired?
From the government side?
Yes.
Well, the government has not really been an active participant in trying to promote the jewelry trade or the textile trade in Eastern India. There is, let me begin by saying that there is a certain intellectualism connected with being from Calcutta. And I think, even though you're smiling, I would like to say that Calcutta is the cultural capital of India. There is a certain value that just the word Calcutta brings to the table. Because, I think it's been steeped in the arts and in heritage and all of that for so many years. Whether it was Satyajit Ray's films or whether it was, down to today, whether it's the fashion designers or the jewelry. In fact, let me tell you, being a jeweler, all the karigars in India are Bengalis. I don't know how many of you know that. And kudos to them, they've been working tirelessly, endlessly for years, for generations, without any support, without any help. I mean, this is a huge industry, and we've had no support for the workers, for the karigars. Today, when you look at the karigars in Bombay or Delhi or anywhere in the country, they're all Bengali. So, when you really look at it, the talent that is here is, you know, it's just something that is to be marveled at, because there is so much of effort, there is so much of talent, there is an endless sea of young people that actually want to be involved with the creative process in Calcutta.
So you have the talent and you have the history. What is it that you wanted from the government and didn't get? And did you ask for it?
So we have never had any kind of support, whether it be in terms of a college or an institution or any formal training or any kind of support to say that such a large section of society is involved in doing this kind of work. You know, I mean, it's a skill thing which is going out of fashion. And I mean, none of the kids want to come back, because today when you're sitting in a jewelry factory, you're sitting, you know, all crouched up like this in a tiny room. Your eyes go bad. By the age of 30, 35, you're not in a physical position to continue with your work.
Okay, so better institutes to get better skill into the industry. I think that's a consensus we have across the board. Already, you had problems, not much support. Did GST make it worse for you as a
You know what?
business?
For the beginners, it's chaos. I think we all are still have been in the business for a while, so you have your accounts team and everybody who knows it, and they know how to deal with it, how to get the input credit, output credit, things like that. So, but what it has done for the young ones, the beginners, they are like at loss, you know, how to organize themselves in an industry where there are 4 to 5 levels of taxation. You know what? Some fabrics get 0%. I'll just give an example. Saris are 5%, buttons are 12%, zippers are 18%, okay? And imported fabrics are 28%. So tell me, when you're costing it, for the poor, the young ones, or the who are just starting out, how will you do your costing? How will you do your business? But to go back to Make in India, I'll just give you a quick example. I have been curating the India story with which you guys have tied up now for 2 years with Mrs. Madhu and Abhilasha. So both me and Madhu went all the way to Delhi to meet the textile minister, the Make in India initiative, all the people, to say just have a tie-up with us to give the certification and everything. We went there for 4 or 5 times. Dave, you know how many times we met, the government. You know, what happens, I think the center is speaking one language. It can be Make in India or Make in Gujarat, but I don't think they are interested in Make in Bengal. It is a lot of political thing, because nothing happened. We went, met, yes, tomorrow, this, that, nothing happened.
You agree with that, Madhu, that this...
I'm just telling you.
You're affected by politics at that micro level?
Over the past, say, 15 years, I've been working on several projects, several national and international projects. And I've had the honor of interacting with most of the textile ministers. You know, the present textile minister is somebody who's really different. And I'm not saying it just for the sake of saying it.
So if there is this overall, push to Make in India everywhere, is he right then in saying that because of political differences there?
Because I work with weavers, I've been working with weavers for 30 years. And I know exactly the problems they are facing, and I conveyed it to her. And she wants to sit across the table with them and thrash it out.
You're based from?
I'm based in Delhi.
That's the geographical location difference.
For her, I don't think so it matters.
No, but which weavers are you working with?
I'm working with weavers from the south.
Okay. But still based from Delhi,
Yeah,
right?
but I work with weavers all over India. I work with weavers from Odisha, from
But you're based from Delhi.
I've worked with weavers from Bangladesh. I've worked with weavers from everywhere in my 30-year stint. So I have dealt with Dayanidhi Maran. I have dealt with Shahnawaz Hussain. I've dealt with Smriti Irani. I mean, see, I don't have an affiliation to anybody except to my work. And I found her attitude very, very positive. And here I find someone who's a doer.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly hoping that this is going out, and if there are these problems perceived or real, these are addressed because these are very specific to a state.
Yeah.
And like you said, you suspect that these could be because of politics. I also want to, since we're talking about the Eastern look, I want to get in Ketholeno. Did you have a problem of acceptability, or did it work for you? Your origins, where you come from, did it work actually as an asset for you?
You're talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Ketholeno.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, first of all, I think I'm like the only Northeasterner to be doing so well out there. But it is mostly fashion-wise, like magazine-wise. So commercially, I'm still like struggling, I would say. So if I like succeeding so much for a Oriental face and still struggling, then definitely there is still a lot of struggle to get through. Yeah, I still face a lot.
Why are you struggling commercially? You think your look is not commercially acceptable?
Yes. Not I think, that's what the market thinks. Like, of course, fashion-wise...
Have you been told that, like to your face, that you're not commercial, mainstream enough?
No, I've never been told like that. But even if like my agencies, the agencies I work with, or the designers, or the photographers, whoever pushed for me, every time it comes back, like the information comes back, as I'm very, very Oriental, like she wouldn't work, like our products wouldn't sell, like it wouldn't go well. That's what. I don't know, like all the designers are here, so if they get a chance to shoot with me as like
what do you have to
a
say for
model,
yourself?
then I don't
to.
know what they would say.
Would
We
love
can
to. I think
ask.
she's
So,
exotic.
from our perspective, we love working with very exotic looking models, but then we don't also represent all of India.
No, but why does she get boxed in as exotic?
Exactly, because we've worked with
Exactly.
clients where they have said, oh, she looks a bit Northeastern, she looks a bit Chinese.
Well, because she
and
is
it will not
Northeastern.
work with the rest of our clientele. It's a shame. But certain people get compartmentalized that way. I'm whinging, angry, but I feel when we're talking about...
I think it's the problem with the Indians or the Asians, like South Asians. I don't know, even, let's say we just showcased, I had a small show in South Africa with the Indian community there. And of course, they had a mixed group of models, they were from different backgrounds. But again, if a certain clothing is worn by, let's say, a girl of a color, vis-a-vis somebody who is Caucasian, there's a huge difference in terms of the mindset and the look. Somehow, I don't know, still we are stuck in that day and age where people like to see and that, okay, on a fairer skin, it's so
But
pretty.
who's going to break that? You are the people
No,
who
but
have
I think-
the opinion
I-
makers here.
That's what we
I
always
honestly
try to do.
think that fashion needs to really change. I mean, if you look at a couture week, it's about lehengas, and more lehengas. So what are we talking about? I mean, everything is sort of come into one sort of, framework, and everything is so predictable. I think you have to break through. You have to, break the glass ceiling, and a face like hers, which I again call exotic, and I think I'm proud to call exotic because she's different. And therefore she stands out. I mean, if you look at all the other models, they would be on one side, and here she would stand out. So I think, we would love to use her. I would love to use you as my model. And I think that fashion is also, it's about time that fashion took a break and reassessed what it's doing. Because I think there is no fashion happening in the country. It's all about the big brands. They're all going into the bridal market, so it's become so commercial. I mean, if you really look at it, it's just lehengas and more lehengas.
Absolutely,
and that's
and because when you sit here and you talk about bastardization, and you sit there and you say that, I am boxed in as exotic, or you say that, she looks Oriental, who's putting all these stereotypes? Don't bastardize your fashion. Who's stopping you?
We are not.
Make your traditional...
That's the buyers, I would
Yes.
say, because
That's
that's
why
what
we
the
are here
market
to-
wants.
Yes.
Then you have to give that to sell it. So the buyers, the customers, they want it. So at the end of the day, even if you like a face or not, it's not up to you. You have to think of like selling your product.
No,
So-
but for example, Eina, if she's doing her jewelry, everyone in India traditionally wore gold. It was a given. But you decided that you would break from it even though you are a traditional jeweler. You reinterpreted tradition.
So I completely agree with you that the responsibility for making that change lies with us. So for example, I mean, to talk about our jewelry, it's very different from most other jewelry that's available in India. Apart from the fact that it's not gold, it's also not pretty or polite. It's often very aggressive, it's often very strong, and I think that is rooted from where I come from. It comes from where I come from, in the sense, I'm a Sardarni, but I've also grown up in Calcutta where we've always, prayed to Durga and Kali. So there's this double dose of idealism and power that clearly comes through in our jewelry, which is not really what jewelry is supposed to mean or stand for. It's supposed to be ornamentation, it's supposed to make you look pretty, it's supposed to make you look more attractive to the other. But we've converted or subverted the idea of jewelry and made it ourselves into something that we wear for ourselves to assert our own identity. So in that sense, even when we use a model, for example, to shoot our jewelry, it's always someone specifically dark, because we hate the idea of, fair and lovely. It's always about dark is beautiful, and it's not even about exotic or not exotic, it's about real. I mean, we're all real. Why can't we have that variety expressed in what we do? And it is our responsibility to make that change.
Can I just butt in? In the latest Fashion Week, I worked with a model from Burma called Yami. I mean, she was really exotic and she stood out. I mean, in the Fashion Design Council of India, there's no discrimination whatsoever. I mean, this woman was so beautiful and she looked exactly like our friend sitting next to me.
If I may, was that actually done deliberately to make a statement? Why can't she be like just another model? Which is my problem. Why is it you want to do an exotic statement? Get her.
No, she was
For
just
your
like
regular
another
shows,
model. She was just
take
a part
regular
of the
North Indian
team.
models.
But she was like so beautiful. She was amazing on the ramp.
Okay, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, that appreciation is always there, like, oh, you're so exotic, you're so beautiful, but like, what more can I say? Just take the example. We hardly have Northeastern girls. Like, I'm not only speaking for Nagaland, because I'm from Nagaland, but I'm speaking for all the other states. We don't have, of course, we also have the drawback of not being tall enough for the fashion industry, but we still have girls, but we don't get, we never break through. So like I said, like, I'm like almost the only one who is able, who has reached here. So it's still a huge gap. Like, we still have a long way to go.
And I kind of understand where she's coming from, because when she says that she's told not commercial enough, I mean, when people were scouting for someone to play Mary Com in a commercial, like mainstream film, you could not find someone from her home state. You found someone who is from Mumbai and is basically a North Indian girl to play Mary Com. Now that would play into that whole, not commercial enough. And Raj, I want to bring this back to what you said earlier. You said that Bengal, Kolkata has this intellectual vibe. Then why is it not reflecting in your fashion? Why is it that at the end of the day, your fashion is basically tying into that whole what buyers want, what is acceptable? Like you said, doing lehenga and ghungat. Why are you doing it?
No. I mean, I'm in jewelry, but what I'm trying to say is,
your jewelry, you'll basically do.
You see, the thing is, I think to address, to come back to the previous issue just for a minute, I think the fault actually lies with the bodies. I mean, these quasi-formal, government bodies and, the bodies that sort of appoint jewelers and fashion designers and form their own councils. I think we have to revisit those councils, because the people who are making the decisions there are the people who are implementing all these things. I mean, today, if you have a body that looks at models from the country, whether from the northeast or the south or whatever, and says that there must be equal representation.
Okay, you find that they're not represented enough?
I think that they're not given an opportunity.
It's not.
And obviously there are vested interests, there are people who have a certain, set mindset that don't want to sort of propagate, or who are becoming victims to this whole commercial, you become a prostitute to the system. So I feel that, at the end of the day, whether you're looking at the bridal market or you're looking at the commercial market in the country, you need to have a very responsible body or a set of people who are making the decisions, whether it's in the jewelry trade or whether it's in the textile business. You need people who are responsible. The government must look at people and appoint people accordingly from their side. And also the industry in itself must have a voting system to choose the right people to represent them.
Okay, so wider representation.
Absolutely.
I think so.
In the,
and I
something
think
like
involving more and more people and none of that nepotism and, getting, people in from the past who were already there into, their brothers and their sisters and whatever into the board, who have a preset mindset. I think it's very important in this new age India to have younger people coming on, different set of people. And I think there must be a change every 3 years. Or every 5 years. You can't stick on with the old bodies. I mean, in jewelry also, we have bodies that have been going on for the last 15, 20 years in a certain set format.
Okay, so actual reform in the way that, the bureaucracy of this whole
Absolutely,
industry
the
is
red
run.
tape, the bureaucracy, the whole fact that, you can't get past that whole thing. I mean, if you're an artist and if you're trying to work, you're going to say, to hell with it, I don't care, I'm doing my work. If I'm not being represented and, if I'm not really political, that means I don't have a say. So you need the body to sort of come on and take on people and give you that, freedom of speech and to express yourself.
While we are complaining, but I must say one thing, you have to realize as designers from the East, from Calcutta and everything, we are among one of the highest bridal selling designers in the sense, all the designers collectively, people flock to Bengal to buy. I must tell you one thing, they first come to Bengal to buy their, bridal stuff, everything from here, which is great. So and also the fashion which is created from this part of the country actually does affect on the national level. You will see the copy markets are filled up, whether it's Rajas, whether it's Einas, whether it's Sabhyas, Anamikas, us, everywhere, you will see. So it does say that we do lead in some way or the other, but how do you capitalize on it?
But do you have the voice?
And do you have the voice of it? You are not represented well enough on the governing bodies. It's always what Raj was saying, is the same set of people just running the show from the top, and it's only certain group of people. But at times we are happy just to be quiet in the city, create from this corner, and let the madness happen there.
No, but then you're not going to find that representation that you're seeking. You have to fight for it.
So we are.
Or you will keep
we are
ruining the
using this
bastardization.
forum to start it first.
Great. Madhu?
I did my first ramp show in the 30th year of my career at with the Fashion Design Council in Delhi. And it took somebody like Mr. Sunil Sethi to get me out of my shell because, frankly, I kind of straddle two worlds. Like, I'm a part of the fashion world, but most of the time I'm on the ground level working with weavers. So most of the time I'm not around. It was Mr. Sethi who has got people like us who work on a very serious level, and a few other designer friends of mine who again are the same batch of mine, with the same 25 to 30 years in the field. He's got all these stalwarts back in action, people who've contributed, who are doing serious work. And my personal experience of him was that he's an absolute straightforward and no-nonsense guy.
No, we're not saying everything is wrong or everything is rotten.
But change takes time. Just keep that in mind. Doesn't happen in a minute.
No, that's like one section of fashion world, which is like designer wear and everything. But by and large, I would say that there's like a downright fall of aesthetic in terms of general look and feel of how things are, of clothing, of design sensibility. And maybe because we are living in a sort of a media frenzy world where you have 24 hours of television.
Everything get blamed on the media in the end.
I'm not talking about news
Your fashion
media. I'm talking
aesthetic
about
is
mass
calling
media.
medias to blame.
I'm talking about mass media.
There are protests raging media.
I'm talking about
Do you see what runs on TV?
I'm talking about mass media.
Global warming because of media.
Wherever I'm talking about mass media, be it movies, be it all these daily soaps which look exactly like each other, another. They talk the same language. There's the same story. They wear the same clothes, same makeup.
But then that's my question.
And
you
it's
have
absolutely regressive. I mean,
you have to make the choice between business and aesthetic.
And so the thing is that we are caught in a cycle wherein is it So who is to change? You know, the consumer's taste have to be changed. The creators also have to be bold enough or to take the risk. You know, otherwise Netflix is going to swipe this country away. I mean, nobody's going to watch Indian television anymore at all.
Eina, last.
So, although I agree with most of everything that's been said here, I'm strongly a proponent of taking responsibility of change. So I feel like you can't just blame government bodies and other bodies. I feel like, yes, there needs to be reform, but a large part of the change has to come from us. And like you said, it's a question between business and aesthetics, so you have to take that decision as well. That do you want to take that risk, which may affect your business, but then you're going to affect change. So you either make a change and take the risk and maybe succeed, or you do what everyone else does and then you're going to be a part of the cog. So that is one. Two is that I think it's the more different things you do, the consumer gets to see something new. For example, the more faces they get to see that are different, the more it becomes normalized. Then tomorrow, it's not like she's an exotic face, it's a normal face. And then that's when change happens. So it is our responsibility as much as it is, say, a government body or anybody else's.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, the two things that have come out substantively from here, one, more institutes, and second, more support from the government in addition to individual initiatives that have been taken. Thank you very much, everyone, for having joined us on this panel. Thank you very much for having been here.
Thank you.
Wonderful audience.